this story about AOC's position in Congress. This comes after a week of infighting, I hope primarily online, about, what the progressive members of Congress can do when it comes to Medicare for all. And the pushback was targeted at AOC. And I personally think that it was targeted not the way that you actually move your lawmakers to push anything forward, but I think it was more harassment. My personal take. But whether or not that had anything to do with this or not, AOC was not given the position that we all hope for. And somebody who doesn't actually get along with Nancy Pelosi was given that position, Representative Rice. Let's put that on screen real quick if we have a clip of it. Okay, so there's this tweet from Alex Salmon. Crushed AOC 49-13 in favor of Kathleen Rice, a backbench right-winger Democrat, obviously, who is a known enemy of Pelosi. Meanwhile, the other progressive priority of ENC, Sylvia Garcia, was left off the slate without even getting to a vote. Guys, are we just playing this game wrong? Like, I feel like this is a great education for us right now as a movement in terms of strategy and pushing power in the right direction. And I see Director Beckles. Would you like to take it?
Yeah, you know what? When I saw the news about this, it really I was enraged. I was enraged because I'm so tired. I'm so tired of these people showing such disdain for progressives, for revolutionaries, and for people who are advocates for the working class. I'm so tired of it. But I think that the fact that it made the news, it's making the news, shows that people are finally paying attention to what's going on and these appointments and how important they are, because I guess I understand that a lot of these representatives, they came out forcefully against her, like no one's really ever seen and these folks, the same folks that voted for this woman and against AOC. I understand they have close ties to big oil, and so I always say follow the money.
Yes.
All of these votes, you follow the money, you will see why it is, where they're coming from, why it is that they would shun, this fighter, this person, this woman who is fighting for the working class, fighting to save the planet. I think it's despicable that when you follow the money, the reason why they do these things, is to appease their corporate donors, right? And so I think it's despicable. It's a way that they raise money. And that's why I think that it's so important. That's why it's important that we elect people like, more people like her, more people like Nina Turner, who's running. I'm so pumped because, that's why we have to flip the Congress, and we have to flip the Senate, so that we can have more, not just progressive, because that's a word that's thrown around so much, but I want to use the word responsive, right? We have to have more people who are going to be responsive to the people, to we, the people, and not responsive like the centrist, or centrist, moderates, corporate Dems, who are fighting so hard for the corporate donors, and I'm so sick of it. But I think that it's going to energize us even more, in these elections, like the election that's coming up for Nina Turner in Ohio.
Marianella, I mean, it's so interesting that Director Beckles just said, I have to get used to that, Javanka, said to follow the money, because these committee positions, I think a lot of folks may not be aware, they're also fundraising mechanisms. So they do put industry insiders in these committee positions because they help this Democratic Party industrial complex, in which even the progressives who don't want to be part of that are kind of forced to comply because they want to have a spot on a good committee. They want to be able to be called on to say something in regards to energy policy. DSA is doing such great work in terms of on the electoral side, in terms of whether it's the local level, like in the position with Javanka Beckles, Director Beckles, or the national level, and kind of taking over these positions. But I guess my only hesitation is, are we doing it fast enough? Are we playing the game as well as we could be playing, given this crisis that we're facing?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. When I was reading about the appointment, Frank, I'm going to be honest with you. I was like, okay, this is just like palace intrigue, right? Because like, meanwhile, we have millions of people out here who are losing their jobs, who have lost their jobs, who are without healthcare, who are starving. And like, frankly, an appointment like this would not have materially impacted their lives in any direct way. I think your question is great, right? Because I think it gets to this question of, I was thinking earlier today about AOC has said it herself, right? Like, if in any other country, she and Joe Biden would not be in the same party. And when she says that, what I take that to mean is that they just have markedly different interests. And that's what we're seeing here too, right? So like, right, Kathleen Rice, I thought it was really funny that she was like said to be an enemy of Nancy Pelosi. No, she's not. She's not an enemy of Nancy Pelosi. They have the exact same interests. They care about the same thing. They want to protect their little corporate donors. They want to like get their little grubby little hands on that money. Like, that's what they care about. AOC, and more importantly, the working class base that AOC represents, that is Nancy Pelosi's real enemy. That is the real enemy, frankly, of most corporate Democrats. And that's why, they're shutting AOC out of these positions. And I think that's going to happen. That's going to continue to happen, I think. So for me, it is a question, okay, are we doing this fast enough? Absolutely. I would love to have dozens more AOCs everywhere. But I think also it's a question of like, are we building independent power for the working class as we're doing this? Because as we know, as we're seeing time and time and time again, the Democrats are just not ever going to represent the interests of the working class in any substantial way. So we need to build power for ourselves.
Absolutely. On that note, we have a clip of AOC and Bernie Sanders talking specifically about this power and how, is a negotiation of these bills, which are so livelihoods right now of tens of millions, possibly even more Americans. We don't even know the numbers yet as we eke into this crisis. And the Biden administration, maybe because they don't even know the numbers yet, just seems to be completely oblivious and more distracted by the donors and the patronage and all of the favors that they have. So let's play that clip really quick. We have it. Oh, sorry. It's just Bernie. Excuse me. I thought it was with AOC as well.
Democrats willing to compromise because they're banking on more relief next year after President-elect Joe Biden takes office. But some progressive Democrats are restless. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez telling The Intercept it's time for fresh faces.
I do think that we need new leadership in the Democratic Party.
Asked about her comments, progressive Senator Bernie Sanders, who ran against Biden in the primary, said Democratic leaders gave up too much to cut the relief deal.
If you're asking me, do I think that this bill was well negotiated? I don't. There should have been a lot more money in it than there currently is.
Case in point right here, Director Beckles.
I love Bernie. Because that's why they had to stop that brother. Because as Nina Turner said, they don't want truth sayers. They want people who are just going to be bound down and just spewing lies or just keeping quiet. So I love that Bernie, speaks the truth of power every single time. He's not afraid, and that's why I love the work that DSA nationwide locals are doing, because they also are truth tellers. This is a movement for the people. And so that's why she has to be stopped as well, because she's a truth teller.
Right.
And it's so unfortunate that people, lots of people, there are many of us who do not, but there's so many people who seem to embrace lies, more than they want to embrace the truth of what's really going on. But I'm going to say it. I can't stand centrists. They're killing us. They are killing the planet. And they have not literally, and we will get nothing from them. So that's why I'm a part of this movement, because I feel like, we have to come out, we have to be radical, because being in the center, being moderate and bowing down the corporate interest is literally, as you said, Nomiki, is killing us and it's killing the planet. So I'm tired of it. And I welcome this new awakening of folks who are understanding that we get nothing from them. The only people that get something from centrists, corporate Democrats, are corporations who are, controlling those strings.
And the stronger these corporations have become over the years, and the more their monopolies, it's like the centrists have. I mean, we all know that the spectrum that they're moving further and further right. But I've been looking back into like the Nixonian era and reading a little bit more back, about Johnson's in light of this moment, and even the conservative. I mean, first off, the Democratic Party used to actually fight Republicans, and they'd be able to call them out. But also Nixon, of course, is nowhere near, forget the Republican Party, the Democratic Party of today. Right. So, and even if Johnson wasn't perfect, which he definitely wasn't, he at least heard what was happening and responded to the crises of the moment. And I'm like, are these people zombies? I mean, Bernie's up there after doing this for 45 years in the biggest crisis of his generation and our generations, of course. And it's like, what is he doing? He's like yelling into a desert. Is this thing on? Is this thing on?
Yeah. I think it's funny, like, maybe they're zombies in the sense that they're just like trudging along through life. I mean, I don't know. To my mind, they're just like very, very comfortable. They've got their jobs. They're surrounded by other people who also have their like perfectly cushy jobs. And like, that's where, for me, it comes down to us as a movement. So socialists, the left socialist movement, the labor left, it comes down to those groups of people to organize and make them uncomfortable. And that's not just through like organizing and electing people like AOC, which again, like we absolutely have to do, but we also have to stay organized between elections. And we have to, I think, wield the most important and most powerful tool that we have, which is withholding our labor, and say, if you're not going to give us the relief that we need, well, guess what? Everything's going to stop. We're going to make your life hell. You're not going to be comfortable anymore. That's what we have to do. I mean, it's just, I was thinking this morning, I was like, so it seems like the second stimulus is going to be like $600 and then a $300 UI expansion.
It's offensive.
I mean, if the first one was crumbs, right? AOC called the first one crumbs. What is this? A single crumb, one crumb. That's what we're getting. So we have to organize ourselves and fight against that. And yeah, we have to do it quickly.
Thanks for watching and listening to The Nomiki Show. But remember to click like and subscribe on YouTube, and please share on social media. If you're not already a patron, please join us for as low as $5 a month on patreon.com/The Nomiki Show for early and special content. That investment makes a huge difference. We are not corporate media raking in the dough. It's really you guys that are keeping us going. So please consider being a patron. And to our current patrons, thank you so much. We are incredibly grateful to you. We also now have swag. So check us out on thenomikishow.com to get your mugs, your totes, and your stickers.